Hey guys, Brian Grossman here with the National Deer Association out here on my 15-acre fixer-upper property. For those of you who have followed along with that video series, or maybe you've read the articles on our website or in our magazine, then you probably know one of my goals was to take the 6 or 7 acres of hardwoods that I have back here behind my house and to open up the canopy, get some sunlight here on the forest floor, and get some understory growth happening to provide, some excellent forage throughout the year, and to provide some cover so these deer will feel more safe moving during daylight hours. Because going in, when I bought the property, it's just pretty much a wide open desert under these hardwood trees. I got a lot of nice hardwoods in here, oaks and hickories and some different stuff, but there's just nothing growing underneath. And so, as you can see here behind me, at least in this area on this little finger ridge here, I've gotten a pretty good response. I got a lot of these trees killed out, and it's really taken off in here. A lot of excellent forage growing in here, and the deer are hammering some of it. We'll talk more about that here in just a minute. And some excellent cover in here as well. Now, I know my southern brethren, you guys that are down here in my area, will probably notice there's a good bit of sweet gum popping up back here as well, which is not ideal. I mean, it is a native, but it's just not preferred by deer. It doesn't provide a whole lot of benefit, but it does provide some cover. And so I'm not too worried about that at this point. Eventually, as that starts getting a little taller, I'll probably come in, cut it back, and this next time I'll actually spray those stumps and kill it off for good. I did not do that when I did the original cut, but that's okay. Like I said, I've got cover back here to provide some security for these deer, and a lot of good forage back here as well. Now, one of the primary ways that I've opened up this canopy and gotten sunlight here on the forest floor is through the girdle and squirt method. Like you can see right back here, I've talked about it in a previous video, but basically I came in with a chainsaw, girdled the tree, sprayed that girdle, that cut, with a herbicide mix of imazapyr and triclopyr and water, and just kind of let nature take its course from that point. Now, I did that back during the dormant season, back in January, February, probably into March, and then of course now we're well into June, almost to July here, and it's been the results have been a little surprising to me. We've actually, some of the trees it killed dead as a doornail. They never leafed out. They were done by the time spring rolled around. Some other trees, like this sweet gum here behind me, leafed out, looked good or looked normal, and now it's starting to show signs that it's going downhill. The leaves are pretty sparse on it now. Some of the leaves are yellowing and browning, and you can tell this herbicide is slowly taking effect. And then some of the other trees, you can't even tell that I sprayed them. They still look as good as can be. Now, I do believe all those trees, I believe that herbicide mix should kill them all. Some are just taking longer than I would have expected. And so it's just a learning process. It does seem, and I'm just making assumptions here based on my small number of observations, but the hickories, which I always think about hickory as a tough tree, but the hickories, it knocked back. Those were, I don't know that any of the hickories that I cut and sprayed leafed out. It killed them quickly. Trees like the sweet gum here, that I don't think about being as strong. They're the ones that initially leafed out good and now seem to be, you can kind of tell the effects of it. Oaks have been kind of mixed. Some of my oaks, it killed back completely. Others are still hanging in there, but they're all showing pretty good signs that they're on the downhill slide at this point. But then, like my beech trees and maybe some poplar are really hanging in there, really doing better than I was expecting them to do. But again, I think in time, all these trees are gonna, the herbicide's gonna do its job. It's just gonna take a little longer than I was initially thinking. It's going to be this time next year, I guess, before I get the full effect of this more open canopy. As you can see here below me, this is still really, this understory is still really open. I'm not getting sunlight right here in this particular spot. And so I'm not getting that flush of understory growth that I'm going for. But hopefully this time next year, that's going to be a completely different story. And with that, guys, what I really wanted to get you out here to see was how the deer are responding to all this, particularly to these trees that I've cut down and allowed to sucker sprout back, like the sourwood here behind me. As you can see, the deer are absolutely hammering the leaves and the fresh shoots on this thing. This is what the guys at the Mississippi State University Deer Lab refer to as a mineral stump. And they call it that because they did some research in certain species of trees. They cut it down, allowed it to resprout or sucker sprout like this. And what they found was the crude protein and the mineral content, the phosphorus levels in these shoots, these young shoots, are much higher than they were in the leaves of the existing tree. So this is a great way to not only provide nutritious forage, but you're providing it right here at ground level where the deer can easily access it. And of course, you're also opening up the canopy and allowing these other things to sprout back here and providing cover as well as great forage. So it's a win-win situation. And I'm providing nutrition in an area that a year ago was totally void of really any deer food. You know, outside of that narrow window when the acorns were falling in here, there was nothing for these deer to eat. So this is a great start. I got a lot more work to do, but I'm headed in the right direction with this kind of stuff right here. So if you have some woodlands on your property and it's mostly closed canopy, there's not a whole lot growing in that understory, hey, it's a great time to get out there, kind of assess which trees can go, things with lower wildlife value, you know, pines and cedars, sweet gums, maybe things that aren't going to provide a lot of forage like hickories and beech. You know, those can provide some wildlife value, but a little goes a long way. Beech trees throw a whole lot of shade. And so it can be beneficial to cut those kind of trees as well. And others like your black gum, maples, poplars, dogwoods, mulberries, there's a whole list, and it's going to be dependent on the area that you're in, but that can provide value if you cut those off and let them sucker sprout back up. So you might want to do a little research depending on what part of the country you're in to see which tree species deer prefer, and then make your decisions on what trees you can just take out and maybe go ahead and spray the stump or girdle and squirt them so they die completely, and which ones you want to cut down and allow to sucker sprout to provide that highly nutritious preferred forage. So guys, as always, for more great deer hunting and deer management information, be sure to check out our website at deerassociation.com. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell below so you never miss another one of our videos. And hey, if you really want to go above and beyond, hit that thanks button down below, make a small one-time contribution, and that'll help keep us developing these educational videos and content on our website and all that kind of stuff. And we certainly appreciate that support.